Hello and welcome to Hornbilltv'S special presentation. मैं अपना host आकिवितो. Martial arts तो नागालैंड दे Chinese movies ला hero खान जैकी चैन, ब्रूस ली और जेट ली खान बरा जनाई दिसे. उतु साल बरा आजिला होमोई तक martial arts के बदली बिशी हुई गिना से. Sir Israel बरा Korean martial art taekwondo ला दुनिया दे नागालैंड लगा नाम ऊंचा कुरी दिसे. नागालैंड दे तो इन्हें का martial arts साबुले ते बिशी इंटरेस्ट आसे सब मानु लगा होली भी इत्या दो टाइम पुंची आसे मोकान लगा नागा यूथ्स खान भी इन्हें का स्पोर्ट ते घुसा दो आरो इतु कारणे नागालैंड दे किमान देरी लोबो इतु स्पोर्ट के एक्सेप्ट करूले एकता इम्पोर्टेंट कथा आसे आरो इत्या मार्शल आर्ट्स ला एवोल्यूशन हुई गिना नागालैंड दे एकता अलग कॉम्बैट स्पोर्ट मिक्स्ड मार्शल आर्ट नोइले एमएमए कोई गिना उठी आसे यूएफसी ब्रा इतु एमएमए दो आरो भी पॉपुलराइज करी दिसे आरो इतु एमएमए ला ऊपर दे मोकान ला तीनटा नागा जवान खान ब्रा इंडिया के रिप्रेजेंट करी ना नागालैंड लगा नाम आरो ऊंचा करी दिसे आरो इतु दो किर्गिस्तान दे थाका गामा एशियन चैंपियनशिप्स 2021 दे थाका आसे इतु टूर्नामेंट दे पांचटा नागा केकेनेत्सो अंगामी लोंगचकम्बा आओ आर्सेनबा ओजकम मेरदिन न्यूमाई आरो लिमा सनप जैसे इतु 5 जून के भी क्रेमले मेथाब्रा तलगा एकेडमी दे द कॉम्बैट एकेडमी कोई ना दे ट्रेन करी ना किर्गिस्तान दे पठा आसे आरो इतु दे क्रेकेनेत्सो अंगामी ब्रा सिल्वर जीती से लाइट वेट कैटेगरी दे लोंगचकम्बा आओ ब्रा सिल्वर जीती से वेल्टर वेट कैटेगरी दे और आर्सेनबा ओजकम ब्रा ब्रॉन्ज जीती से फ्लाई वेट कैटेगरी दे आरो एकता विश्वास नाथका कथा दो एमएमए स्पोर्ट तो इंडिया दे इत्यादि इन्फेंट स्टेजेस ते थाकी आसे कोई ना जानी पाइसे और आज हॉर्नबिल टीवी ब्रा हेड कोच क्रेमेले मेथा क्रेकेनेत्सो अंगामी लोंगचकम्बा आओ आरो मेरदिन नुमाई गे कथा करिबो आरो इतु एमएमए स्पोर्ट ताकान लगा जर्नी इतु स्पोर्ट ते आरो ताकान लगा फ्यूचर एक्सपेक्टेशंस खान की आसे इतुला ऊपर दे ओलो कथा करिबो. First of all, congratulations to the three of you on your achievements and thank you all for coming and it's an honor to have you all here in Hornbill TV. So we have Kremile Mehta, who is the head coach of the Combat Academy. We've got Meridin Newmai, who is a participant. Then we've got Krikenetso Angami, who won the silver medal, and then we've got Longsakambao, who won the silver medal. So we'll start the conversation with the head coach, Kremile Mehta. And before I go into the important part of the talk show, I would like to ask Kremile, how does it feel to be the head coach of 3 individuals who have won India a silver medal? And what is your feeling right now as a head coach?
Of course, there's a lot of pride involved because it has also been, it's a fruit of hard work that's happened not just for this particular tournament, but it's something that was being built up for the past few years. They did well this particular time, not just because they trained well for the few months, it's because the hard work they've put in for the last few years. To be honest, as I'm a lot more emotionally and I guess critical about their performance, so I was unable to enjoy their performances in Kyrgyzstan as a fan. I was, again, like I said, it was very emotionally driven and a little more extra critical for them, towards them. The joy or the pride came in when I saw them coming back to India, and of course, like how you meet all you people from the media have been following up on their achievements. That's brought in a lot of pride for me.
Thank you. Okay, now getting back to the serious question. So, Kremile, could you please tell me how MMA came about in Nagaland? And as we know, in this MMA sport, you are one of the pioneers who got this sport into Nagaland. So, could you please share with us your experience?
Personally, like you had mentioned in the introduction part, I was always a fan. I was that young kid jumping on the bed every time Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee played on television. So of course, martial arts was something I always wanted to get into, but I could never professionally get into it. I started training in martial arts, and then I came back home to Nagaland after my academics, and I started playing around with a few of the boys in my locality. And of course, as you know, we have very strong lineage in traditional Naga wrestling. So it was a few kids from there. I was playing around. I was showing them modern martial arts techniques while they were showing me Kinye, that's traditional wrestling. And the techniques are very similar. They are very similar techniques. And one of the beauties of I noticed was now the kids here are so athletic. They were picking up techniques like in 1, 2, 3 so easily. So of course, I went back to Bombay, continued training, and I wanted to start something more permanent back home. I feel there's a lot of talent here, and it would be a shame if this talent goes untouched, unfocused, right? So I came back to Nagaland, opened up the Combat Academy, tried to tunnel, focus their talent, and I guess this is a fruit of that labor.
Alright, thank you. Now, itu do moi apni khan tinjun karmi itu same question hudi dibo. Apni khan itu MMA sport to kina kurina janise aro kina kurina apni khan itu sport pra attract kurise. Aro apni khan shuru kura time de apni khan la ama baba khan ba ki kuise support kurise na nai. Aro itya apni khan you're back home, medal bhi jiti na ise, Nagaland la naam ucha kuri dise, India ke bhi represent kurina jaise. So itya apni khan la parents aro utu time apni khan la shuru de uku difference ase na nai. To mo khan mer din ba shuru kuro.
It's the story is very similar to every Naga boy. Moi bhi bacha time de bhai martial arts se interest thekise. To Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan they don't get sign interest one china. MMA first introduction no mola sadewa kurse. Kicker ne Chongami he got silver medal this time. To moi higher secondary time by martial arts interest thekise. Hoile bhi studies se focus kuro na time pa nai. To while I was in my college, I tapped into mixed martial arts. That's when I came across the Combat Academy in Nagaland. In our Tadewa, aste start with first, yes, like every parent, bachang ina morom gore. To combat sports to risk ase. Every time you get in the ring or the cage, you're putting your life on the line. To parents man appreciate na gore first to. Hiliwi, nijola dedication, commitment, aro discipline signa tanbi accept kurse that career banao pare idu field bi in our aste ajidak to family ala support bi paise in our family kla no this time bar khilo jado nijola society nijola bosti manawan nijola well wisher samni bshi help kurse to somani gi bshi thanks se
to itya netso ge time do to netso apni kina kurina itu sport te gusi se and same to apni ki ko itu de
so yeah, like kwan is not like bajan jada kon khushi na pai na martial arts ando like moi bhi yaha dekhe same. So regarding MMA holiwe, it was not like telecast in the TV and all man first start kron dedo mola high school friend dekhe yalna mo tongoi gona se is one of my very good friends taiwa muge first to like ni taiwa introduce kurje first time MMA do to tade moi sa biside curious je are to manon do gloves nya chudo line nya cage la bidore khila da nutun ase there's something new muge interest kurje to I wanted to know our janole munja dekhe hole that time like unfortunately like moi jan thai na like mana state TV gym thagise gona na yan do jan thai nai to martial art join golo munja dekhe hole to kina start ko golo like enya tan taekwondo na available dekhe to like when I was in my class 8 or 9 standard I met my one of my again good friend, my teammate now, Meredith Numai. Tai do taekwondo koreksi ande. Tai do bisi early age pa taekwondo korese. To tai ke log korna hai. Mujun ekjon la interest share korna nya na moi tai ke MMA la ko tai muge taekwondo la ko na nya na mujun start korase. Do bisi do tai wa kwan sina higher secondary han eglok bushe nya na college punja nindo we knew about the gym. It's our current gym, that is the Combat Academy Nagaland. Tade man 2017 they join korase aro ita tak tade man continue kona thake ase
to itya longsukamba ge jo
regarding MMA moi kina janise nakule MMA do sports bishi notun ase aro moila khopor bi Nagaland de ase na do janina daga nai olibi bacha dam diba combat sports aro moi karate an bi lui dagise to sati ekta moila bishi close friend in government jamir high school dam diba iklote aro iki colony de boy mujun to na taka to tai idu combat academy la tai etin kamekta jadam de tai idu tikise nana aigena muge alo apni kile try nukre MMA na ase apni bi training kurbi na na guje to moi bi at idu to pise bala se do konai na join kurbo na taka de thik aro etin moi ni sati anlot piram de ground de cricket khilina ulam de Victor Angami tai ke lok paise odu true satik ta karne to taiba Victor Angami introduce kurise taibi MMA fighter ase na unise to na moi tateba pisi interest to ta shuru je na moi gym de jaina saise to environment pisi pal lagise moi na training shuru kora start hoise idlo board aro parents can support asna nai na kule of course parents can be ini combat sports life pichi risky ase tati to join nokribi alak career de focus kuribi na koi daise holibi moi ini pichi interest ase moi join kurubo na guna 2014 olop khotom howa fane moi MMA join kurise aro utu time deba luina training korina ado achidak tido baba ma bari mula dedication hard work aro idu sob tikina hard work kan tikina baba ma bari dadak to full support ase moi idu karne ama baba gibi pichi khushi pa aji janya daise
खुशी पाइसे इतु जाना दो और इतना मैं वापस हेड कोच के क्वेश्चन करूँ so criminally what do you think for any sport to be successful there is always the need for the infrastructure personnel so on that department where is Nagaland falling are we like so lagging behind do we need to do something more
When it comes to combat sports, at least infrastructure wise, it's very fortunate that it's combat sports. All you require, honestly, is a body and gloves. Is not much is required for skill acquisition. Like when you talk about martial arts per se, there's skill involved. So skill is you don't really necessarily need a lot of infrastructure for building skill. Where infrastructure would be required is when you're trying to reach peak performance, right? Like fitness wise, when you're trying to be the strongest you can be, when you try to be the fastest you can be. A little bit infrastructure is necessary, and of course that's a lot of modern technique, a lot of modern equipments have coming about in today's day and age. But when you go back to building talent, that's skill. Skill is not, infrastructure is not really necessary. What you need is a strong coaching staff. On that terms, with MMA, I've been very fortunate that it's just not me. I have a lot of colleagues, my friends also, now friends, my teammates. We all get together and we coach as a team. I wouldn't count myself as the only coach. There's a group of us. Of course, when someone else comes, Din learns something new. Din has advice for Nitso. He will advise Nitso. So stuff we mix the roles of coaching and we grow together in building skill.
so would you say that professional wise with the skill the technical side of fighting are we well equipped and how do we improve in that sector
I believe we definitely are because in today's day and age we live in era of information. If it goes on skill acquisition, it's knowledge, right? So knowledge is very easily attainable over the internet. If I want to learn a new skill, I can put in those hours, I can scorch the internet, I can search, I can gather information, of course, funnel that through to my boys. In today's day and age, use the internet. YouTube is there for skill acquisition. The internet is wide open. There's so much information readily available.
so इतना मैं नित्सोगे एक ता क्वेश्चन हुई वो खबर पाए ऐसे कि अपनी तो एक ता फैशन मॉडल भी था कहाँ से आरो फैशन मॉडल बा अपनी मिक्स मार्शल आर्ट ते किना पुंची से आरो इतना तो भी अपनी ओपन ऐसे मॉडल करो ले
হয় লাইক মই শ্ব' চান অলপ কৰিছে লাইক মান ষ্টেট লাইক উইথিন দে কৰিছে মই শ্ব' চান এনে ফেশ্বন শ্ব' চান পেজেণ্ট শ্ব' চান দি পাৰ্টিচিপেট কৰিছে লাইক ফেচ অফ নাগালেণ্ড পি কৰিছে তাতে মই ফাৰ্ষ্ট ৰানাৰ্ছ আপ পা আছে এইটোতো লাইক দিছ চামথিং লাইক মই এনেই কি কওঁ চামথিং লাইক মই খুচি পাই কৰোঁলে নি খুচি পাই কাৰণে নি কৰা আছিলোঁ না আৰু লাইক ৱেন আই ডু দিছ লাইক মোৰ পাৰ্চনেলিটি বি তাতে গ্ৰুমিং থাকে তাতে বি না তো এইটোৱে মোক বেছি হেল্প কৰি আছে লাইক স্পিকিং কৰোঁলে দ্য ৱে ইউ কণ্ডাক্ট ইউৰ চেল্ফ ইউৰ বিহেভিয়াৰ দ্য ৱে ইউ ডিল উইথ দ্য ক্ৰাউডছ এইটো আমি বেছি হেল্প কৰে লাইক এইটো হোৱা নাই আছে লাইক এইটো ৱাজ এ শ্বৰ্ট টাইম বাট ইয়া অবভিয়াছলি ফিউচাৰলি অপৰচুনিটি আন পাইলেতো মই টাইম থাকিলেতো কৰোঁ এইটোতো একো নহয়
तो व्यूअर्स खान के जनाई दिए से कि क्रिकेट शो इज अप फॉर मॉडलिंग तो अपनी गान ला नतून ब्रांड्स खान आसे एंड यू गॉट द परफेक्ट पर्सन हियर सिटिंग विथ अस तो आई विल गो बैक टू मैरिदिन सी नागालैंड दे इतु झगड़ा कुरिले तो इमान बिया नाम पाए आरो इत्या तो अपनी एमएमए ला स्पॉट झगड़ा ला स्पॉट ते घुसी ना से तो इतु बा अपनी की बिया बनाई दे आरो इतु ला कॉन्सेप्ट इतु लगा माइंडसेट तो किना चेंज हो ना
In my honest opinion, no matter what you do, no matter how people perceive you, at the end of the day, you are who you are. The one, just because we do combat sport, one biya manu si nevi no we take it, hoy khushi do bai na, misada na ho, khushi na fight khila dalop to khushi bai. Idone select bi khushi. Huli at the end of the day, career yes idu na, like any other sport. Football hui, basketball hui. It's just sport, it's competition. So more than just fighting, we take it as competition. Aro ring de gushishe, cage de gushishe gule, manu yo maro nabi noy. Just that mon time spend gore mon skills kina develop kore si to nijor ke test kore si to just because someone is into combat sport that does not mean that he or she is a violent person.
And then apni like itu sport like jhagara koile do mixed martial arts because it's combat sport. तो itu la perspective इतना मोहन ला generation कांदो we are आस्ती आस्ती बा बुझी बोले शुरू हुए से कि you know उको नॉय इतु भी एक ता sport ऐसे professional level तक highest level तक पुंजू पारे तो इतु mindset मनुकान martial arts नॉयले mixed martial arts तो क्या ऐसे कोई ना आरो उको नॉय इतु भी एक ता professional ऐसे you have any advice on how to change that mindset?
Hopefully slowly we will change the mindset of people. Itia mon ki uri se first time we went international. I just saw that we are getting recognized, so I'm very happy. I'm very happy to all the media outlets and the society for acknowledging us. I consider this as a very small step towards changing the people's mindset. Also, Rastande youth san jagara gure idando kinako. When one's knowledge na tigile nya kure na, so I urge and advise everyone to take up some form of physical activity. It doesn't have to be fighting. Our martial arts भी करो मन से ले करो भी you don't have to compete fight करो ले compete करो ले ना भी ना भी just do it so that अपने ये बुझो how much it takes in our ना risk कमी जानी जाए ना मान लगाओ तो कि मान damage लोग पड़े once you know then you respect people and fight हम भी करो ले मन ना थका जो once you know how capable you are to damage someone and also vice versa how someone is capable to hurt you.
Long sa kam आगे इतु question करे से अपनी बा किना कुरीना लोंगसा टाइगर ला निकनेम पाइसे ना
अच्छा regarding my name Longsa Tiger मुला childhood friend एक ता इधर यारो ताइवर मुझे कुछ Longsa Tiger को तो चुली किना ना इतनी कोई लगी से ले मुझे नहीं हंसी किना रखी थी से but मुला fight ला YouTube जैसे so ताइवर ताते comment कुछ Longsa Tiger को ना the good fight ना ताकि से तो इसलिए इतु मानो हम दिखी ना सब मानो बा comment करा शुरू से तो इना था कि ना था हम देख तीन माला head coach ताइवर coach में देवा मुझे एक दिन phone कुछ phone करना hey along मानो YouTube ते अपने ला nickname like Longsa Tiger करना चुना से तो किना नाम तो cool है ना चुभी ना किना कोई ना उसे तो मुझे चलो चुबो इधर भी आदत नहीं करना उतो दिन बरा Longsa Tiger को तो चुआ शुरू से
मुझे head coach के जाएगा एक ता question हो दो मुझे ऐसे what has been the government's perspective and incentive towards this MMA sport and is about this travel plan that you guys went to Kyrgyzstan, was it government funded or was it like did the center help you guys or how did you guys fund yourself to reach Kyrgyzstan?
So this event was self-sponsored. The boys paid for their own travel. The accommodation and the stay while there was handled by the World Association. It was just the travel and small amount of registration that needed to be paid by the boys. No, the government didn't aid over here, but from day one we have always been, my beliefs have also been, aid is something you ask for when something is not possible. Aid is help. Aid is not the reason something happens. For instance, government aid, it will help you complete the task. So our idea was to try to do this on our own as much as possible. Of course, there were difficulties in acquiring the finances, but eventually all the boys were able to do it. Travel abroad and do wonderfully. The sport is very young, so it's understandable that there was not so much coverage over it, but definitely this talk show is going a long way in building up hype over the sport, and definitely in the future it will be easier to get help from anywhere and everywhere.
So, so you mean to say it was self-funded? So, if I want to take martial arts and I want to get into the MMA profession, do I need to be heavily loaded? Means like the major tournaments, the most famous MMA tournaments are all abroad. So, is any major tournament going to happen in India where our Naga boys and girls will be participating?
So there will be, and of course, like you had mentioned, finances are necessary for this, but with the Combat Academy, we have reached such a position where these boys, as you can see, they help in coaching, they instruct, and yes, they are earning their own livelihood. It's not a question of getting aid from their parents or from their family members. They are earning their own livelihood. They are making their own money to fund themselves to do all these trips, especially domestically. Internationally, yes, it's difficult, but domestically, they're looking after themselves.
মই এতিয়া একটা শর্ট একটা ভিডিও দেখাও মন যায় আছে আৰু ইটো তো কেক্ৰেনেট চ' লগা ফাইনেল ইটো গামা দে থাকা আছে তো ইটো একটা ক্লিপ অলপ চাব
The center of ring by Kazakhstan sportsman. Bad takedown, the good takedown, but good counter-attack from Nurtaza Jumakhanov. Oh, not finish this takedown, and we continue with striking. Big right hand, but it's to the block. Yeah, do you know we didn't see so many blocks today, yeah? So very open fights, these final fights.
It's very interesting to see fighters when they are representing their country. This is the main difference between amateur and professional MMA. In amateur MMA, the fighters represent their country, their homeland.
So আপনি কাজাখস্তান লা মুৰ্তাজা লোদে ফাইট কৰিছে আৰু ইটো ফাইটটো কিনা থাকিছে আপনি কাৰণে আৰু আপনি সেমিফাইনাল দে লতিফকে টেকনিক্যাল নকআউট কৰি না দিয়া নিচিনা আপনি ফাইনাল দে ইটো সেম মুভ তো কিলে কৰিব পৰা নাই
I cannot compare my semi opponent Latif with my final Kyrgyz opponent Nurtaza. Like, if moi tajinge compare kuro kore to be honestly like Nurtaza like tai bishula technical thakise bishula experience or like bal la thakise like tai kele jitise moi kele Latif ke bare jule to মই তাকে পুশ কৰিব পাৰিছে প্ৰেছাৰ কৰিব পাৰিছে আৰু স্কিলছ ৱাইজ মই তাকে ভাল দেখিছে তো মই বিলিভ কৰে যেনে মই তাকে ব্ৰেক কৰিব পাৰিছে টেকেও কৰিব পাৰিছিলে আনফৰ্চুনেটলি আই কুডন্ট ডু দ্য সেম থিং টু মাই ফাইনেল অপনেণ্ট কিৰগিজ অপনেণ্ট যে লাইক উল্টা হৈছে লাইক মই লাষ্ট তাই ষ্টপ কৰি দিছোঁ মোকে লাইক ভাল আছে এইটো ক'ব হি ৱাজ এ বেটাৰ ফাইটাৰ দেন মি লাইক on that ring on that day আৰু একো এক্সকিউজ নাই মই জানি না গুচিছে তো ষ্ট্ৰাইকিং MMA আছে and like striking কৰিলে তাহাঁতো he's an Asian Muay Thai champion আছে তাহাঁতো he was more experienced more better than me more skilled ইধৰণে defeat তো মই টেষ্ট কৰিছে so I'm very much humble একো কমপ্লেইন নাই একো কিবা কৰে নাই তো এইটোৱে কওঁ মই
তো এতিয়া মই লংচুকাম্মাকে যাওঁ আৰু তাইকে নাযাগে দে মই এতিয়া তাই লগা এইটো গামা এজিয়ান 2021 লা চেম্পিয়নশ্বিপতে তাই লা ফাইনেল লা বাউট লা অলপ ভিডিঅ' ফুটেজ দেখাব মন যায়
A little bit of payback here. Nice. You can expect them to turn it up after this. The pleasantries, they don't last long usually. But again, very good sportsmanship by both athletes.
Yeah, they respect each other, but we know that they want to do show, they want to do hype, they want to do that we should remember them.
Not so much of a smooth grappling exchange.
তো লংচুকাম্মা লা ফাইনালিষ্ট তো তাই প্যালেষ্টাইন লগা ইয়া জাবাৰ লোদে খেলিছে তো লংচুকাম্মা আপুনি এইটো ফাইট পৰা কি শিকিছে কি এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ পাইছে আপুনি লা কি ফল থাকিছে আৰু আগে যাই কিনা এইটো ফলছকে আপুনি কিনা ৰেক্টিফাই কৰিব মন যায় আছে
আচ্ছা মোলা ফাইনেল ফাইট আউট অফ তিনিটা ফাইট এনি ফাইনেল লা সবচে টাফ লা দেখিছে তাই সাইজ ওয়াইজ আৰু এনি হাইট সবতে তাই ডাঙৰ লাগিছে হলিবি ইটো আকো এক্সকিউজ নাই হলিবি মই খালি একটা কথা কওঁ টেকনিক্যাল ফাইট থাকিছে পিছে টেকনিক্যালি খেলিছে ফাইটটো বাট টেকনিক ওয়াইজ তাই উদিন অলপ পাল্লা লাগিছে সো তাই জিতিছে এক্সকিউজ নাই
এইটো সেম অপোনেণ্ট দে আপুনি সেম গেম ষ্টাইল চলাব না এতিয়া তো আপুনি বি অলপ কি শিকি কিনা আপুনি বি আলাগ চলাব মন যায় আছে
ডিপেণ্ড কৰে হলিবি মই ইটেলা ফাইট পৰা লাৰ্ণ কৰাটো হলে তো ক্লিঞ্চ ৱৰ্ক এইটো কোনসা মান একটিং হাক কৰা নিচা থাকে এইটো ক্লিঞ্চ কৰি থাকে তো ক্লিঞ্চতে তাই অলপ ষ্ট্ৰং ওলা থাকিছে তাতে তাই নিজ কাণ পিছলা ভাললা পেলাই থাকিছে মই তাতে অলপ লেগ কৰি থাকিছে চ' মই কোচ কিবি আলত কৰি থাকিছে মই ক্লিঞ্চ কাণতে অলপ ৱৰ্ক কৰিব নি কাণ পেলাবলৈ অলপ ৱৰ্ক কৰিব এনেকৈ থাকিছে চ' itu next time fight কৰিছিলে clean stay work কৰিব আৰু definitely মই তাকে পাৰব next fight কিটো
মই খুশি পাইছে এইটো জানা তো এতিয়া মই মেহৰদিনকে সুধিব মন যায় আছে তো মেহৰদিন আপুনি भी কিৰ্গিস্তান যাইছে আপুনি এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ কিনা থাকা আছে আৰু মাৰ্শাল আৰ্টছ চাই মোকালা নাগালেণ্ডে মোকানলা আমাৰ বাবা খান চব বাচ্চা খানকে সেল্ফ ডিফেন্স শিকিবলৈ মাৰ্শাল আৰ্টছ শিকিবি কয় আৰু তাকান ইটো শিকি কিনা ডাঙৰ হৈ কিনা আমাৰ খান বি অলপ বহি খায় তাকান বা ইটো সেল্ফ ডিফেন্সটো মাৰ্শাল আৰ্টছটো বিয়া জাগা দে চলাই কিনা তো আপনি কাৰণে হোৱাট ইজ দ্য পাৰ্পাছ অফ মাৰ্শাল আৰ্টছ আৰু আপুনি লাইফতে কিনা চলাব পাৰে এইটো
Personally, মই আজি কি আছে কলে পুজিছে আৰু মানুহখিনি আছে এইটো it's all because of martial arts মোলা personal life তো especially childhood তো মই ভাল থাকা নাই I was always bullied তো open up কৰিলে বেছি দিগদাৰ দেখিছে but it's only through martial arts মই taekwondo start কৰিছে তো taekwondo join কৰনা state level national level আন খেলাম দে মানুহকে লগ পাইছে ইনাৰনা বাহাৰ মানুহ নিজৰ কিনা কন্টাক্ট কৰি ইদান চাইনিবি I learned a lot. Same thing with mixed martial arts. This time Kyrgyzstan Jadu. It taught me a lot more. It made me realize who I really am on the inside, or how much this sport really means to me. Now na dunyavi dikshe. Age devi dikhi dege hulivi this time the international Jadu. Aru bishi dikshe now na made me humble and made me realize that mon idea kode sido. It's not even half a puncha one, but at the same time it made me realize that it is possible. Mon Nagaland by Shigulvi, Napara de Kunai, mon be dedication taking paro kinako. Nigeria self belief fellow by she.
Back to the head coach Meme. So Meme, how did it end up that Nagaland sent 5 fighters and you sent the fighters to Kyrgyzstan, they won, they came back, but there was no. You guys literally represented India at a global event and they came back, they won medals, and then when they came back they didn't get the media attention that they deserve for accomplishing such an achievement. And also what happened and how did these guys actually land up in Kyrgyzstan?
So initially first was the Indian nationals. So these boys went down to Bangalore, they competed against the other states and they all won gold and silver, all 5 boys. So hence they got selected to go internationally and represent India in Kyrgyzstan. When you go down to recognition, there was no noise. We're not people that complain. Our job was to put our head down, go ahead, compete against the other states in India, win this thing, get chosen to go internationally. Once that was done, then our next stop was to go internationally, put your head down, just keep training, go compete, go win. As everything else all around it, all the negatives, those are just noise, white noise. You don't pay attention to it. You focus, you have your objectives and you do it. Nothing else matters.
तो मैं नेक्स्ट हो गए दो मुंजा दो अपनी इतो मिक्स मार्शल आर्ट ते जाएगी ना एवर सिंस अपनी MMA कुरिया से अपनी ला किमान हड्डी गान भांगी ना से अपनी गान इतो इंजरी पा पिछले दे वापस किना आए और किना you are still stuck to this spot. Even though इमान बिखाइले भी हॉस्पिटल किमान बार जाओ लगे खून किमान पुशुआ लगे इतो खान हुई कि ना भी अपनी किना का कुरी ना वापस आई जाए इतो स्पॉट ते
Yeah, like what you say is right. Like it's a physical sport, as that the injury no go like especially if you're doing for a long time. But personally, for me, like I have not received like such kind of like what to say like serious injury, like my hospitalized school like injury nya paise nya the my experience like obviously I've injured to hoy man like blood ulala sports like ekta kotha go like when we are in there like every time Jaina hadi bange every time Jaina nya hole lawi noi because we are trained athletes man itu kuna janna kora noi na like man itu kana train kore we know how to defend ourselves, we know how to attack, how to counter, recover hoy there are some bad days man laga la din mi thake really all the athletes who go in there and compete they know what they are doing atwase and then like kiman physical sport is to mana sacrifices like we love this sport man janina gusa se to idan sab to like you to jane really mana passion ase man bi to feel de kiwa achieve kole mun jai man bi goal ase kala to sacrifice to lage ki hulibe ito ki ko gao bal thakadak to iso mon thakadak to kuri thakol ito ase
Thank you. और इतना मुझे लोग से कम आगे हो दियो अपनी ला दिन अपनी एकेडमी ज्वाइन करा पीछे दे इतु कान ट्रेनिंग करा पीछे दे अपनी किमान दिन दे किमान गुंता अपनी ला ट्रेनिंग दे जाए और इतु पीछे दे does long sakamba also have a normal life apart from MMA? Do you get the time to अपनी टाइम पाए अपनी साथी खान लोग दे बाहर जाओले मूवीज खान साओले एना का अपनी खान टाइम पाए
अच्छा itu training la question dole to mui ta to mui nijer training korai kla noi na mui manu ki bi train kore so morning 5:30 de olado korba olado 9-10 tak te mui mula session sob milai na class chela sob milai na tade tak khotom hoi dibise mui gym de roki jai gym de lo press kurna aro evening 3 bra 5-6 tak mui training grobo na 6 ba 7 tak aro client kana se to ange training dibo na kore kordo le to 5 te olado sam 8 baji kitiaba olop tiri ole 9 baji tak te punji jai so Monday to Friday to tate jai jai kitiaba any friends kan lot life to pouring no le karne kitiaba any friends kan lot ini of course pirawle time dole Saturday noli Sunday de olai na price
Oh boys, they are very mature, responsible young men. Like Longsa Kuba was saying, he goes off in the morning 5:30. He trains other people. They're able to divide passion and profession. Right? Of course, their passion is to compete. Their passion is to train and to compete professionally. That's what drives them. But their profession is coaching other people, training other people, and they need to follow their profession because it's the profession that's putting food on the table. That's their job. They're getting paid for it, and hence they are being able to finance all their passions. I just wanted to add that bit.
तो इतना मैं मेडिन गए हो दियो एक ता मिक्स मार्शल आर्टिस्ट होले what is the kind of sacrifice you need the kind of dedication motivation aro is it hard बिशी दुख पाए अपने कान एना ट्रेन करा aro no होदाई दिन उठीना नाइ moi तो मिक्स मार्शल आर्टिस्ट थे वो इतु काने ट्रेन करो तो कितने बार do you feel like अपनी की कुरे से do you question yourself
This subject totally depends from one individual to the other. But hoy, kitiwa the question me gore na life te. Kandari bshi kande nijor dagi le do. But one of my favorite fighter, Nick Diaz, like he said, you have to love it so much that you hate it. So kitiwa the way bshi dikdar ase. Sadian gibi sai, nijor la cousin san gibi sai. They're fun, but then I'm not saying what I do is not fun. I enjoy it, hence I am willing to sacrifice everything else to do it every day. Will be hoy. Will be life to do. If it's just enjoyment, then it's not life. Sometimes you have to suffer. It's suffering that enables you to enjoy the other pleasures of life. So hoy, duk to pai. Will be duk pa do life la process yes. Sports ki liwi, kitab pur liwi, any key field jai liwi, duk to thage. That's when your consistency, that's when your discipline comes into play.
What does one need to make it in the MMA? Do you need like a special ability? And also with the amount of hard work and the dedication and the motivation that your boys are working towards, is it safe to say that in the next couple of years that our Naga fighters will be ready to face anybody in the ring or the octagon?
I would tend to believe we almost already are. You think of the recently concluded Asian Championships, there were 13-14 countries that were there. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. Kazakhstan has Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. These are countries that have huge lineage in combat sports. They have been training any form of combat sports for multiple generations, forget years. Look at us from Nagaland, small place from Nagaland. It's been what, 5-6 years, and we're already standing toe to toe with them. There are a lot of lessons learned, a lot of mistakes made, a lot of lessons learned, and there will be corrections to it. So definitely something in the future is something we are going to get better, and we are going to hold ourselves even higher and even stronger and better.
So like what does, say a normal Naga, what does he need to get into the sport? Does he need to have special skills? Does he need to have anything special? Or can anyone, like if trained and groomed well, from the young age, can he make it into this sport?
I definitely feel one of the prerequisites to an athlete, not necessarily mixed martial arts or any athlete, it's God-given talent. You need to be athletic, and that's in one of the ways us in Nagaland we are lucky, very fortunate. We are more naturally athletic than other people. We're just born with that talent. What is necessary is the focus of that talent, that is your skill acquisition, that is your training. You need to have a strong coach. I'm not saying that the Combat Academy is the best. There will be other institutes, there will be other academies, but it is through coaching that this raw talent is going to be chiseled into something more refined. So we already have the talent. We do have good coaching. The third is dedication, discipline. Motivation is one thing. Motivation is what's going to get you out of bed early in the morning. What keeps you out of bed, what stops you from going back to sleep is discipline. That is something that a lot of us need, a lot of youngsters require.
तो मैं इतना लोंगसकम्बा के हुदुओ मुंजा दो लोंगसकम्बा अपनी welterweight division दे fight करी से और अपनी you fought somebody 7 kilos more than you. इतो तो how were you prepared to change your divisions all of a sudden, and how come mentally you were able to stand in the ring and give it all that you've got?
이제 더 비시 심플 하세. 이제 감마 에시안 챔피언십 군도 크리켓 산다 되기세. 이도 간에 셀렉션도 크리켓 니죠. 무슨 되기세. 또 다들 나글랜드 브라 두이다 만도 same weight category 킬로 나 파워 so man decide 그러세. 나나 coach man सब discuss करना है नीचो के 70 दे रखी हुई और मुझे ऊपर दे जाओ करना मुझे 70 दे नोई ना मुझे 77 दे उठाने के लिए से और मुझे 7 kilos नीचे तक से मनोरा मनन 85 पर काटी वो 75 ते बोले मुला इन्हीं natural weight भी 71 नहीं ना तक से लेकिन मुझे mentally और इतना सब तो prepare तक से इन्हीं सब face कर लेना so like always like confident तक से कुंदो size लेकिन ना को तो बात को अलग tension तो आना नहीं.
It wasn't like two people from Nagaland could not go. They had both qualified at that weight class. What would happen is, at the Asian Championships, if they were both at the same weight class, the two Naga boys would have to compete against each other. And it would have happened because Nicho got silver in his weight class. So it is something that, as a team, we didn't want the boys to be competing with each other. So Longsa Kumba chose to go up and compete at the higher weight class.
तो Longsa Kumba अपनी की भावे अपनी welterweight ते जादो ईश्वर भी अपनी के इतु move ते मदद करी से नहीं ना?
Definitely ईश्वर बा पिछे मदद करी से मान औलादम देवा कोरबा औलादम देवा partner करना पता से family हम बा और ताती पूंजी नहीं भी पिछे मान teammates मान होता है morning evening पिछे partner करी से और this time तो confidence पिछे लगी से because friend circle family और कोर मानो मान सब होता है partner करी से तो करने भी पिछे खुशी और this time तो मुझे नहीं case दे usually case कांदे खुशी होता है ring कांदे खुशी होता है nervous तो अलग level देखे और this time तो और double pressure था तो मैं weight class ऊपर खेले से so तांला power strength इतना पिछे अलग था कि वो ना तो पिछे pressure तो था से but at the end of the day इसोर था से मुला उसोर दे और friends कान family कान partner मुझे phone करना को आदम दे होता है मुन तांगों था कि मैं होता है partner को दे ऐसे दे इसोर अपने ला ऊपर दे से ना को आदम दे ताकि वो तो जानी ना case ते कुछ होता है nervous था कि वो भी case ते this time तो fight ते case कुछ होता है nervousness तो इमान तो था नहीं इन्हीं confident इसोर से ना था तो मुझे जानी ना खिलो ले पार से this fight
क्रिकेट नेट से हो गए उद्योग मुंजा दो सही की स्पोर्ट ते होली भी एथलीट तो टॉप लेवल दे पुंचुले और ताते थाकी बोले बेशी एक ता डिसिप्लिन थाकी वो लगे ताते एक ता डाइटरी डिसिप्लिन भी थाके तो अपनी इन्हें का फॉलो कुरे से कुले वहाँ ला नागा आइटम सुका गौरी वंशु अखुनी इतो कान मिस कुरे नुकुरे और वो अपनी कितना भी चीट डे थाकी ना नहीं कि आवे अपनी सीरियल्स खावर लगे बोली ना आज तो मैं अखुनी खावने की ना कितना भी दिमाग ते आई ना है
personally मैं करने तो like simple as yeah like normal days where when I'm off training camp like मैं गोरला meal हाने खाई बालवा खाई कि खाई से like healthy meal हान खाई try करे होए like diet भी साव लगे like अपने जो sports भी खेले से और किस्म बाहर जाना जंक फूड हान खाओ इधु सोडा हान खाओ everyday अरे इन्हें इधुआन अलग तबे कौन खाओ इन्हें ड्रिंक्स हान करो ना बिराना इधुआन किलो बोले तो दोरब तो impractical ऐसे तो मिशा ऐसे ना diet bi bishi important ase, so you have to look into it aro especially training game han aro diet aro bhala sabo lage, especially like apni diet weight without sikli weight nama sikli apni la supplements han important ase, protein han holibi tablet vitamins han holibi sob to apni saina track kona khai thabo lage, because training man severe training jai every day, like especially camps han to mana body to tear hi lage, to to recover hol kane diet to super important ase, diet bal na thakle to performance bi bal no the end of the day do na idone
to viewers khan itia to cricket ne soba confirm kurise wala tai itia to bi akuni kai holi top level de jaina Gama Asian Championships te silver medal jiti na discipline ra khabra ena kuru pare ase, to apni khan bi ena discipline rakhile apni khan bi ucha jabo pare, to mer din ge huduo munja do sabi itia to Nagaland de bi media houses internet te man channels khan ulai na ase, aro according to you mukhan la media houses khan apni khan la sport, apni khan la athletes, apni khan la whole game ge kinega support pro paribo aro ki insna support lage, aro can we do something more?
That's a very big question, especially to someone as little as me. But I'll just say, don't support us because we want you to support us, but support us because we deserve it, and support us because we have earned it.
Longsakama apni ke hudu munja do thik ase, Gama Asian Championships 2021 tick, silver medal tick. Ita what's next for Longsakamba, the Longsa Tiger?
Ita upcoming do lido December de Germany de World Championship ase, tate moge ini opportunity na ase, tate apni participate kule kuro paro kona, itu selection de movie kushina ase, so itu prepare kuro papna de ase.
Much. All the best to you. तो मुखान लो दे क्रेमिले मेथा हेड कोच द कॉम्बैट एकेडमी मेरे दिन नेउमाई क्रिकेट नेट्सो आरो लोंगसकम्बा बॉयसे, तो मुखान भी टाइम बाउंड था करनी, इतु मोला लास्ट क्वेश्चन हुआ आरो इतु तो क्वेश्चन तो मोए हेड कोच के हुदियो मुंजा ऐसे maybe you trained, you did everything, then why Nagaland? And but before that I'd like to say thank you so much for the job you're doing. You've been amazing. The fact that Nagaland youth, three of them went to an international event, trained under you, you gave them all the knowledge, and then they brought laurels for the country and the state too. So how did you end up in Nagaland, and what's your future plan?
Of course, Nagaland is home. It's something that's very deep rooted to all of us. This is home. As you can see, we're all very young men over here. If we don't try to do something for home, how can we expect someone else to try doing it? This responsibility is firmly should be on our shoulders. We need to carry this responsibility. And with that note, I wanted to come back home and start something new, especially something I believe I had the passion in and something I believe I could do well with. On the note of Nagaland, is something that we make it a point when we compete internationally, even when we're competing domestically, we always wear our Naga shawls. The idea is that we go out, we compete. Winning and losing is not the priority, but you need to win prestige. You need to do so well that people that are watching, spectators, are going to look at you and wonder, what is that shawl they're carrying? What is those colors? And they're going to come and ask you what those colors are, what do they mean? And they can talk about Nagaland. We can represent our people through combat. That's one of the reasons all of us are very, very big about always carrying our shawls and competing wearing them.
So moi Longsakamba jawo. Now that you're a renowned martial artist, the world knows you, Nagaland knows you, everyone knows you. So manu apni ke mixed martial artist kurna jane. Hoile bhi itu mixed martial artist la piche de ekta jorom hua nijor bhal laga ekta Longsakamba thakyo, to itu martial artist Longsakamba noigina just you played Longsakamba kina insta manu ase na
Piche simple ase moi ko na nai, but before moi MMA mixed martial art te join kram de moi music te piche interest agise aro sports alag like cricket khan be piche klise, cricket bi district level tak te to khilna ase, itu dagise simple ase mula life libi ita MMA de join ha piche to moi music holibi cricket khan alag to iman de focus nokore moi MMA de focus korna ase ta tak to simple life ase
to moi netsoge netso who's your favorite UFC fighter aro one day are you dreaming big that one day who knows we might have a Naga in the octagon?
Yeah, regarding favorite UFC fighter, like when I first started watching UFC, like I watched during the era of like John Jones, Anthony Pettis, tan na my first Sunday, like, and right now like I look up very much like fighters like Charles Oliveira, Corey Sandhagen, people like that. Moi khushi bai tan la style, tan la personality, everything. And hoi tan inya international superstar inya UFC fighter anje saina bi bishi inspiration hoise aro mon dangor bi hoi aro tan la skills wa bi bishi hike man. And yes, I believe like moi when I started competing here, moi ekta goal join kora ase to start korande like best ho kane join korse to participation trophy kane moi join kora noi participation trophy kane join korasile moi to no gori jawa thaka ase professionally moi kile chase kor nole to ekdin to moi world champion ho kona mo bisas ase like etu failure to moi ge rokhor na paro moi aro agi jawo kon bi moi ge bisas no kora jagle de moi ekla ge bisas korna moi improve na jago aro ase aro isor ge every time fail rakhina tage thanks kona glory sab de ase moi thank you.
So I hope you can reach your goal. We will be rooting for you. We will never give up. अपने किताबें एकला ना थे को मुकान होता है अपने ला पीछे खड़ा था को will be अपने keep up the hard work and I hope you reach your goals really soon. तो मैं Meriden के हुदुओ मुंजा तो so Meriden is mixed martial arts going to be your career आरो सभी अपनी खान head coach मैं बकवान इसना self funded था का से तो what do you feel all of intervention, all of support, maybe financially, maybe giving you more airtime and giving you more opportunities. Itu kan apni kan paile. Do you think the sport of MMA will succeed in growing big in Nagaland?
It's already growing big. Really hoy. Honestly, say she gule do airtime bishi paise. Naile attention bishi paise gule do. Like anything, attention or airtime pale do grow do hoy. But at the end of the day, do individual approach individual la. How much you love it and how much are you willing to sacrifice for it. So setbacks to thage life de ki kurli bi. At the end of the day, one positive perspective aside na grow barshe, overcome grow barshe gule do. I believe that nothing is impossible. And as long as you keep faith and as long as you keep working, good things will surely happen.
Oh. It's wild the amount of people that came up to help us this tournament. Like I already mentioned, it's self-funded, but the community came in. There were so many people that helped all of us. Each one of them had family members, had friends, had people from the community, had village councils that came in and helped financially. And not only financially, they helped in kind, in small things, in passport offices. They all had to get their passports before traveling. The officers at the passport office, the officers at the police station where they had to get their verifications, the medical officer where they had to get their vaccinations. All these people came in and helped, not only financially but in kind. This was truly and honestly a community effort to get these guys out to Kyrgyzstan and compete so well.
तो मोहन ला इतना टाइम खत्म हुई से बोली भी ताकन ना जागे दे मोई कोई दिवो पारे कि ताकन मिक्स मार्शल आर्ट्स ते सिल्वर मेडल की बोली भी जीती ना ये ते स्टूडियो दे आदो ताकन भी मानो ऐसे और ताकन very well presented, awesome असे ताकन और ताकन के इना support दे आदो बिशी खुशी दिखे ऐसे और ताकन के आरो इना support like Long Sakamba was saying that in December he's got the World Championships. So I hope and pray that all of us will do our bit to encourage them to go ahead, bring more laurels and achieve all their successes in life. I'd like to thank all four of them, head coach, the Combat Academy, Kremlin Mehta, Meriden Newmai, Long Sakamba and Krekinetso. Thank you so much for coming to our show and giving us your time, and I hope that we can have more conversations in the future. So Ajila talk show do yete khotom kori devo. Keep supporting mixed martial arts. Moi thaga se apna anchor Akivito. Thank you for watching Hornbill TV.